Let's get some more reaction to the Arizona decision from Dan Stein. He's the president of the country's largest immigration reform group, the Federation for American Immigration Reform, or FAIR. Mr. Stein, just straight up front, when you read the Arizona decision, what's your take?
Well, I think the ball's now thrown back to Congress, because the Supreme Court, essentially the majority opinion, the Kennedy opinion, embraces the Obama administration's claim that they have unlimited discretion to ignore immigration law, and states have no authority in this area. And the majority opinion scrupulously ignores 200 years of jurisprudence and history that says that Congress, can delegate to the states specific authority. There's all sorts of provisions in the immigration law that say they want states to help the executive branch in enforcing the law. And instead, the Kennedy opinion cites the Morton memo, the so-called Obama-Morton memo, that essentially says we have the right to ignore millions and millions of immigrants here illegally and do whatever we want. And nobody can stop us. So if you're a taxpayer, you're a citizen in this country looking for guidance, the only place left now, and this is where Mitt Romney needs to tack back to, is real reform will happen in Congress, explicitly setting out guidelines for how the federal-state enforcement strategy needs to work. The Supreme Court had a great opportunity to really provide some guidance to give us a real structure that would work. What they did, though, was essentially say, just like the old Plyler case in 1982, taxpayers are going to pay billions and billions of dollars for illegal immigration, and if the executive branch doesn't want to enforce the law, nobody can stop it. And that's really a problem. But I will say this, though. Justice Sotomayor sided with the majority in saying that Section 2B was, in fact, legal, constitutional, and consistent with state sovereignty. Justice Scalia's dissent was very high on this idea that states retain, as we believe, very strong inherent authority to pass laws to preserve their tax base, to control their destinies in a manner that's consistent with federal statutory law. And that's what the Arizona bill is. It's consistent with federal statutory law. In fact, everything that the majority opinion said was wrong with the Arizona law could be remedied by Congress stepping up to the plate. And we've been waiting for John Boehner, we've been waiting for Congress to step forward and say, in light of the Arizona bill, let's provide some clarifying language here at the federal legislative level to make sure these state bills, in fact, both work and are done cooperatively with the executive branch.
I think we'll have to wait at least until the election until we see how it plays out there. Let me ask you specifically about the one portion they left in place, sir. The one portion they left in place. You heard the state attorney general saying there will not be racial profiling, but if you read the decision, Justice Kennedy was pretty clear that he assumes there might well be future legal challenges. He said essentially they have to implement it first. We see if they do it right. How quickly do you think that issue will be back in the courts?
Well, sadly, there's a civil rights industry that's going to make all kinds of wild claims about how it's being enforced to try to get an injunction to tie it up in knots for years. Remember, the civil rights industry wants to try to engraft the so-called discriminatory effect doctrine onto immigration law enforcement in a manner that makes it virtually impossible to enforce immigration law in the interior of the country. They want to stop all interior immigration enforcement, and they have a partner in the Obama administration that's actually helping to bring that about. So they're going to keep filing these cases that we taxpayers are subsidizing, one after the other, making these allegations. So the litigation will go on for, unfortunately, for some time. In the end, Congress has to step up to the plate and give very specific statutory guidance on what states cannot do in the area of federal, the field preemption area of immigration law.
Dan Stein, I appreciate your insights today. I know folks in the Obama administration would challenge what you just said there. They would say they've had record deportations. They would say there are more people along the border, but it is a good reflection of the political debate that will not be settled by the Supreme Court decision today in the Arizona law. Will continue through the election and most likely next year and beyond. Mr. Stein, I appreciate your insights today. We're going to continue our coverage of these